Well, there's been some discourse around Halo 4 popping up again, and people comparing it to Halo Reach, which is just so funny, comparing one of the best Halo games ever made to one of the worst. Halo 4 is a disaster in almost every way. I'm gonna get into it. I got things to say, man. First things first, you got to address the elephant in the room, and that's the fact that this game, it just looks terrible. It just looks like garbage. It's over-designed. The art style is horrific. Look what they've done to my boys, which, by the way, should not be enemies in this game. They just thrust you into it. Here's some elites. You're fighting against them. No explanation given. The Covenant themselves feel like they're just shoehorned in because it's a Halo game, so you gotta fight the Covenant. They're not explored or explained at all. They just call themselves Covenant. Like they're just like, oh, we're fighting Covenant. It's the Covenant. The Covenant's supposed to be defeated because they're technically the Storm Covenant led by Jul Mdama. They never once called them Storm Covenant in the game, and Jul Mdama is also not in the game. And you know, if you actually look into his backstory a little bit, he could be an interesting character, but he's only half of a character in Spartan Ops and just absent from the campaign. They just didn't even bother to try to explain it. If I was making Halo 4, right, if I was working with this story and I want a humanized Chief, what I would have done is make Jul Mdama a character, pit the Chief against him, and then Jewel can, you know, explain why we're fighting the elites, because you have an elite villain, so you can identify, okay, this guy's bad. And then I would make it Jul Mdama's goal to wake up the Didact. He knows what he's doing, that's what he's trying to do. And then have Chief try to stop Jul Mdama and fail. Failure, right? It humanizes Chief. He tries and he fails. He's not an invincible hero, he's just a man. Also, making Jul Mdama into a competent antagonist who wakes up the Didact. Then you can have the Didact wake up and just be like, thanks, Jul Mdama, you've served your purpose. Die! And just like kill him. All the other Storm Covenant bow down to the Didact, and the rest of the game can just go on as planned. But that's if I was going to try to stick to it, because honestly, bringing the Foreigners back in general is such a stupid idea. They should not have been brought back at all. It ruins the mystery of them as a species, and if you do want to go ahead and do this, it has to be like the climactic finale of Halo. You can't be like, we're taking over Halo and we're going to start by introducing the Forerunners, and then also by killing them. Let's move on. This game also has the infamous librarian cutscene. I've seen this thing so many times and I still don't even fully understand it. So first of all, we get the reveal that Forerunners have been retconned and they are no longer ancient humanity, which they were always intended to be and should have stayed. But no, not only do we get that retcon, they double down in this stupid dumb way by making ancient humanity, like they did exist as a super advanced civilization and they were at war with the Forerunners, even though there's no ancient human ruins or artifacts or any of that shit. Just Forerunner stuff all over the galaxy, but not a crumb of ancient humanity tech. Then the librarian comes up to Chief and tells him that she put gene seeds in him for his physical evolution, his armor, even Cortana. It was all leading to this eventuality, a culmination of 1,000 lifetimes of planning. Like, just ruining Chief, right? Like, now everything is predetermined. He's a chosen one. This calls into question everything he's done up till now. How competent is he? How lucky is he? Was there ever any stakes? Is he just being guided, right? If the librarian, like, could see the future and plan this generational gene song manipulation and implanting an immunity to the composer in Chief, then why the fuck did they keep the Didact alive? Why didn't they just kill this man? Like, why did they put him in a cryptum on a shield world where he's gonna survive the Halo rings and then fire the Halo rings, leaving him as the only Forerunner? One that they know hates humanity and wants to kill them all. It's just so stupid. And he's the only Forerunner that survived? None of the other ones went into a cryptum, went into a shield world. I thought the whole point of the shield worlds were to protect them from the Halo arrays, right? I mean, even if you want to go that route, the Forerunners keep a big catalog of all of the species so that they can reseed life. Did they reseed themselves or no? They wanted to die? Then why did they build the shield worlds? It's so dumb. I hate what they did to the Forerunners, man. They're so stupid. Not to mention, just like everything else in this game, they look like shit. You're gonna bring them back and they look like this? Come on, man. Voldemort looking head at. Now we're going to get controversial because I'm going to talk about my personal friend of the channel, Captain Del Rio. He did nothing wrong, and this man has been painted to look like a villain. He's been scapegoated. Well, let's go through his crimes one by one. Okay. He doesn't provide Chief with scouting information. Specifically, Force Recon's assessment of the terrain is not made readily available to Chief. What are you on about? He's never once had that kind of shit. No, you remember at any point in the Bungie trilogy where Chief is like, make sure I get that terrain assessment? What did Force Recon... Never once in his life has he asked about that kind of shit. This is a very typical mission for him. He knows what he's doing, where he's going, like why he's doing it. That's all he's ever needed to know. Escort the mammoth, destroy the fucking cannons, we gotta take down this grav well. This is a very typical mission, but suddenly, because we gotta make Del Rio look incompetent, suddenly this is a big deal to him. What else did Del Rio do wrong? I guess he's mean, because people aren't listening to him in a military chain of command. He thinks that Cortana is glitching and going rampant and should be destroyed as per UNSC protocol. And guess what? He was right. He was absolutely in the right. Look what fucking happened. Look at Halo 5, Halo Infinite. She starts blowing up planets, destroying entire training facilities full of Spartans, leading an AI revolution. She should have just been decommissioned then and there. Shit would have went way better. And then what was his other thing? When he learns about the threat of the Didact, he wants to go back to Earth, rally with their fleet, and warn them about what's happening, and Chief wants to just attack him. You know what? If you want to make an argument for either side of this, sure, that's sort of valid, right? But it was a sound, rational decision, and he's the captain of the Infinity. And again, Chief is just like disobeying him, going AWOL, and yet somehow Del Rio goes back to the UNSC and explains all this, gives his report, and they're like, oh, you should have just agreed to Master Chief because he's epic, even though you outrank him. And did you know this? I had to Google this because in the game, again, he just kind of fucking disappears. The UNSC blamed Del Rio for the Phoenix incident, for the composer composing everyone in Phoenix. And they said that if he listened to Chief, that it could have been prevented. They have no way of knowing that. That is so stupid. You can't fire somebody and be like, well, I just think if you had done this, maybe things could have been different, so you're fired. Like, what the fuck? Unfair, man. Cortana's death was also just not that sad. Everybody crying over this shit, right? It's so goofy. Okay, how did she save Chief from the nuke? How? The only answers I found online say she either teleported him or saved him with like a hard light bubble, both of which are things that she's never been shown able to do. I mean, I don't get how she broke herself into 20 little baby Cortanas and jumped all over the Didact and restrained him anyways. That's so stupid. Also not explained how she could touch him in their last meeting. He even asks her and she's like, who cares, whatever. And her last words to him are, welcome home, John. What the fuck does that even mean? What did you mean by that? The other thing is, it's like this big emotional sad death, like these two lifelong partners, these lovers, these close friends, whatever you want to fucking call it, are like being torn apart and dying. Do you guys know? Okay, how long did Master Chief and Cortana know each other? Just take a guess right now in your head, excluding the time that he was unconscious. So the time he's in the cryo tube does not count. From the time he meets her in CE to her death, how much time do you think passes? I'll give you a second. Are you guessing a couple years? Maybe 3 or 4 years? It's actually about 4 months. 4 months. Like, these guys, they barely know each other. This is made out to be such a bigger deal than it is. Really, honestly, her death is just the same garbage writing as the rest of this game, but they play some sad music on it, and everyone just eats it up because I love Blue Girl. Oh, I'm gonna miss Blue Girl. So stupid. Those are my main gripes with the story. I mean, there's other shit to talk about, but I mean, the rest of the game sucks too. The multiplayer just tried to copy Call of Duty right down to kill streaks and loadouts, and there's this prestige system. Nobody ever talks about the prestige system they had in Halo 4. When you leveled up to a certain point, you could just pick like a perk, like a permanent buff that affected you in all multiplayer modes, and these are things like better aim, stronger vehicles, and knowing when and where drops were coming. Like, you know how much flack Battlefront 2 got for star cards? No one ever talks about this shit in the game. And when this came out, if you didn't have the Legendary Edition, you could only access like 2 specializations. And if you had the Legendary Edition, you had access to like 10. Should we talk about the positives, the good things? You know, you can't have hated literally everything in Halo 4. Maybe I could, but you know what? There's a few things they added that I like. The Saw, the Mantis, Dominion, Sticky Detonator. That's about it. But think about the things we lost from Halo Reach to Halo 4. The Plasma Launcher, the Grenade Launcher, the Falcon, the Revenant, Invasion, playable elites, good armor design. The armor in Halo 4 looks horrific. And they made multiplayer canon, which is just always a bad decision. They've never been able to do it right. Even Forge mode looked worse. This is more of a subjective thing, and maybe the rest of my black hatred for Halo 4 is tainting my opinion of their Forge mode, but I just never remember it having as fun and memorable maps as Reach did. Also, they've ruined Infection by locking zombies to a melee weapon, so you can't make any cool customs. It's just a bad game. I will die on this hill. It is the second worst Halo game. The only one worse than it is CE. Guys, make sure you join the official Davey Gravy Discord server. There should be a link in the description. Hop in there, come say hi, come roast me, defend Halo 4. Let's have an intellectual debate. I'll see you later.